Hello, guys. Hello, hello, hello. Today is Monday, and you should be excited because of what? The Estrogen Chronicles is here. I hope that you guys had a great weekend. I wish I could say, what did you do? What did you do this weekend? But I guess you can always reach out to me and comment and let me know what you did. If you did something exciting this weekend, I would love to know. Did I do anything exciting? I just, did a lot of writing and reading and just relaxing. Whatever chance I can get to relax is what I like to do. So that's basically what I did. Okay, ladies. Now, this starts another episode today, and for us to talk about topics that matter most to us. But before I even get in anywhere near that, would I always let you know about yourself? That you are absolutely fantastically beautiful. The reason why I say that all the time is because a lot of times women are not told that they're beautiful. They're not given any compliments sometimes, even whether they're married or if they're not. And I really mean it when I say that, because I just find us to be fantastic. We hold down, jobs and sometimes 2 and 3 if we have to. We hold down our children, our grandkids if we have that. We go back to school, and we can do several things at one time. And it doesn't matter if you're short or if you're tall. It doesn't matter to me. I find us to be amazingly beautiful. Well, I find you to be that. And I guess I am too, I guess. But you are beautiful, ladies. You are beautiful, and I mean that. And I'm hoping that if no one has had the chance to tell you this, I hope that I am the first one to let you know that, because I mean it from my heart. I really do. I call women beautiful all the time. My clients, they come in, I'm like, you're beautiful, and I mean it. I really do. So I mean it. You're beautiful inside out, and if no one's told you that today, let me be the first. And you are listening to the Estrogen Chronicles. Her plate, her power. And I am your host, functional nutritionist Gail Thorpe, at your service. And I want you to sit back and to relax with your pen and your paper in hand. And if you have some tea or coffee, maybe a little glass of wine, that's fine. And I want you just to relax so that we can get into it. Okay, ladies. So today we're going to talk about something that is definitely something in the functional community. When I say functional, we tend to get to the bottom line of things. We deal with a lot of genetics and really get into the root cause of what's causing certain conditions. Now, there's something out there that's called adrenal fatigue. Okay. Now, just to let you know, there's also something that's called adrenal insufficiency or Addison's disease that actually affects the adrenal function. Now, with adrenal fatigue, it really isn't a medical diagnosis per se, but we use it a lot in functional medicine. And it basically describes a state where the adrenal glands, the tiny glands that's above your kidneys that produce stress hormones like cortisol, they're not working in balance. And basically, the idea is that chronic stress, poor sleep, or illness can wear down these glands, leading to fatigue and other symptoms. So it's really not necessarily, you can't say, or go to the hospital and say, I have adrenal fatigue per se. But this is exactly a precursor of what can happen when it completely shuts down almost altogether and you actually develop adrenal insufficiency or Addison's disease. Okay? So just remember that. So basically, adrenal fatigue is more so that gray zone a dysregulation before it reaches to that point. So before it reaches to the point of adrenal insufficiency or Addison's disease, which is recognized, there is such a thing as adrenal fatigue. So when you start to get to that point where it can become a lot more serious, let's try to make sure we take care of it from the onset. Okay? Now, what causes adrenal, in this case, adrenal fatigue or almost adrenal insufficiency, is chronic stress. So emotional and mental or physical, right? And then poor sleep and circulation issues. Okay? So also like your circadian rhythm is disrupted and you're tired. The overuse of caffeine and stimulants. And then you may have nutritional deficiencies, B vitamins, vitamin C, magnesium, etc. You suffer a lot with chronic infections or inflammation, and you have hormonal shifts a lot. So with your menopause or thyroid imbalance or PCOS, things that we have talked about. Okay? And these are some of the things that are main causes that can bring on adrenal fatigue. And like I said, this is before, or possibly can be before, the adrenal starts to really wear itself out and becomes insufficient, right? So when you start to feel some of the symptoms that we're talking about today, you want to see if that's what's going on, right? Because we don't want it to get to the point where we actually are developing insufficiency of the adrenal gland or possibly Addison's disease. So some of the common symptoms is persistent fatigue, especially in the morning. Okay? You're wired, but you're tired at night. Okay? And that's possible to be that way. You have brain fog or difficulty concentrating. You have low motivation, right? You just not motivated. Okay? You have salt or sugar cravings. You'll also experience low blood pressure or dizziness when standing. You have trouble handling stress. And PMS or irregular cycles normally happens also. So again, with everything that we have been talking about through all the different episodes, stress always comes up, right? It always comes up. And I can't reiterate enough how important we have to arrest the stress in our lives, meaning we have to take control. We have to figure out what that stress is, and we have to get rid of it because it does and can cause so many conditions to the point where it can actually wear out your adrenal gland. It can literally do that. It can overwork it. Now, you know, I always like to say, when is the time to see the healthcare provider if you are fatigued and it's a persistent fatigue, okay? When it's severe sometimes, where you can't just get yourself together. Sometimes have you ever just so fatigued that you're in the bed and you just cannot get up? You just cannot get out that bed. And you also have some weight loss. You might feel fainting. You might feel like you're fainting sometimes because you may experience dizziness. You'll have severe low blood pressure. You may have unexplained pain that's going on. You'll also have some darkening of your skin. That's when you should see your healthcare provider. Now, these could be definitely signs of adrenal insufficiency, okay, that I just mentioned. It could be thyroid disease, it could be anemia, or other medical conditions. Because like we often talk about here, is that a lot of the conditions that we have or symptoms can also mean something else, right? But stress is definitely linked to mostly everything I've ever talked about. And like I said, sometimes we wear out. We start to wear out our organs. We start to wear out our glands, everything. It just is not worth it, guys. So the more that we can get help on whatever the problem is, last week I talked about depression and anxiety, and I felt this week could be kind of tie into that as well with this week. I can't stress enough how important it is that we are to see whatever is bothering us, and we are to, get the help that we need. If we need to talk to someone, we can talk to someone who is a professional. But it just is not worth us to be stressed out to the point that we're starting now to create disease for ourselves. Okay? So when you go to the doctor, some of the testing that he may do is he may do a morning cortisol test. That can be with blood or saliva. He will also probably do an ACTH stimulation test, and this is help for him to see or her to see if there's any kind of adrenal insufficiency. Excuse me. He may also or she may also do a thyroid panel. Now, the thyroid and adrenals often overlap, so that's why that will be tested as well. And there's a test called a comprehensive metabolic panel will be also testing, which is blood. And DHEA-S levels for adrenal hormone precursor. Okay. All right. And if you're going to a functional practitioner, there may be also what we call a 4-point saliva or urine cortisol testing to see daily patterns. So someone like myself could test a little bit more into the cortisol levels. Okay? So we can see how often, it's producing the stress hormone. Because can you think about it, when you're stressed out so much, it's constantly producing this hormone, and eventually it starts to wear down. It's going to wear down your body. It's going to cause other problems. So like I said, again, having adrenal fatigue is could be a precursor for full-fledged adrenal insufficiency or Addison disease. But when you start to recognize some of the things we're talking about today, then you want to get tested to see what's possibly going on with your cortisol levels. And you want to start to take care of it right away because you don't want it to turn into something more. Now, adrenal dysfunction is linked to PMS and irregular periods, PCOS. It's linked to thyroid dysfunction, which could be either hypo or hyperthyroidism, perimenopause and menopause symptoms, fibromyalgia, and chronic fatigue syndrome. So this is when we have the link between our adrenal dysfunction and some of the conditions that I just mentioned. Okay? All right, guys. So the other thing that he or she, as your healthcare provider, may recommend is to address the underlying health issue. So if it's something autoimmune, because that could be it too, or thyroid. Definitely stress management and improve your sleep. Okay? Sometimes they may recommend a short-term hormone replacement, especially if it's a adrenal insufficiency, and lifestyle adjustments, exercise, diet, or therapy that I'm basically discussing now. Okay? And again, guys, I don't want to sound like a repeat performance here, but I just know that mostly with us ladies and any condition that we have, outside of our hormones being effective, pretty much so in mostly all conditions, what I also notice a very strong pattern is stress, okay, has been linked to most of these conditions. And stress just makes things worse, right? So my goal is always to teach you ladies, how important it is to get that out of our lives, how important it is that we understand this importance so we know that it's linked to these different things. And when you start to feel some of these things I'm talking about, that you know how to handle them. Okay? So now let's talk a little bit about some supplements that can help with this. So you have vitamin C. That helps to support the adrenal and the adrenal hormone production. And then your B complex vitamins, especially B5 and B6. And then, of course, magnesium, which calms the nervous system. Okay? And then our good old adaptogens, ashwagandha, holy basil, licorice root. Now, if your blood pressure is low, avoid. If it's also too high, right? Some of these things, of course, with our adaptogens, they help with stress. So we definitely want to take a look at that. And then omega-3 fatty acids. But always remember, these different supplements that I'm talking about, I always have to put this out there, that if you're taking medication, you want to make sure that there's not going to be any kind of cofactor problem. Okay? Sometimes it can be when we're taking medicine. So you want to make sure that there's not going to be an issue if you were to take any of these things. But like I always say, if you can take it, go for it. Go for it. Now, should we exercise when we feel like we are so super tired, can't get out of bed? We've been laying there for almost 3 hours and we just can't get out. Yes, we want to do gentle movement, like a little walking, do some yoga and stretching, and we want to do strength training. We can do strength training, light to moderate, and avoid overtraining yourself. So, for instance, high intensity intervals or long cardio sessions, when exhausted, can actually worsen your adrenal stress. So, in other words, we want to take it light. We want to take it light because we're already tired. We are already tired and we don't want to overexert ourselves, but we always want to exercise because that can help also with our mood. It releases the endorphins that we need, right? It makes us feel better. Okay? Alrighty. So now let's see how we're going to take back our plate. How do we take back our plate is by including the nutrition to whatever the problem is that we are dealing with and how we can put the power into our plate to bring back our health. Basically, that's what that means. So foods that we want to definitely take a look at eating is protein-rich foods. So lean meats like fish, eggs, and legumes. Colorful veggies for antioxidants. Okay? So we want to do complex carbs. So sweet potato, quinoa, or oats. And then healthy fats, avocado, olive oil, nuts, and seeds. Okay? And for seasoning, some sea salt. Because that actually helps with the low blood pressure and cravings. And we always want to do plenty of water. We want to definitely hydrate. Do you have your water with you while you're listening to me today? You better have it, because I talk a lot about that, having your water. I know I have mine. I love my water. So plenty of water. Now, the foods that we want to eliminate from our plate. We want to eliminate any type of processed sugar and refined carbs. So we want to get that out. None of that. You know how I feel about that, right? I talk about it all the time. Caffeine energy drinks. A lot of us get those energy drinks and really they're not good for you. I don't know. It became a fad a few years ago where people just wanted a fast track to energy. But a lot of them are not even good for us. Okay? Alcohol. We know that's no good. Processed or packaged foods. And excessive salty junk food. These are things that when we're experiencing adrenal fatigue, which can be, again, a precursor for adrenal insufficiency, these are the things that we want to stay away from. Okay? All right, ladies. So, now it is time for your gift. So, today, I want to give you a nice adrenal support, which a juice, which is going to be very refreshing, and it helps to nourish and restore the adrenal gland. Okay? So we're going to do 2 celery stalks, 1 cucumber, 1 green apple, a handful of spinach or kale, a half lemon that's peeled, and 1 inch of fresh ginger. And you can actually, which is optional, you can do a pinch of Himalaya pink salt. This combination provides the minerals, especially the sodium and the potassium and the magnesium. It provides the vitamin C and the hydration, which is perfect for supporting adrenal balance. Okay? And you want to go ahead and juice those things together. And as you know, you want to take it immediately. Take it immediately. And I would do it definitely in the morning. Do it in the morning on an empty stomach. So this way it can absorb so quickly into your body. Once you take it, you're going to get that little jolt of feeling much better that an energy drink cannot do. And it's not going to be efficient for you anyway in the long run. Okay? So this is going to be an awesome drink to support your adrenal gland. Because it's working. It's working pretty hard when you're under a lot of stress. And again, when I talk about stress, I'm not talking about stress like if you had an exam for college and you're a little stressed out about it and studying, right? Because once you take the test, that should pretty much alleviate that type of stress. I'm talking about long-term stress, chronic stress over long periods of time, that you've been stressed out now for months, maybe years. And when you're stressed out like that, you're overworking your adrenal gland. It's constantly producing cortisol, which is a stress hormone. And now we start to get into issues. So this is to help prevent the actual full-fledged adrenal insufficiency or Addison's disease. Now, I decided that I wanted to include one other thing because sometimes I do 2, sometimes I do 3. It all depends. But I wanted to also, speaking of the morning, because that's where we have the hardest time getting out of bed. Okay? So I wanted to do something that will help to be nourishing. It helps to stabilize your blood sugar, and it gently supports your adrenals without being overcomplicated. So I wanted to provide a nourishing breakfast bowl for you to try in the morning, right? So this way you'll be able to also get your day started in a more healthy way while working on helping to balance out your adrenal gland. Now this actually serves for 1. So for you, okay? So you want to do a half cup of cooked quinoa or rolled oats, pretty warm base. right? And you do a half cup of unsweetened Greek yogurt or coconut yogurt. So this provides the protein and probiotics. You want to do 1 tablespoon of chia seeds or ground flaxseed. And this is the fiber plus omega-3. You want to do 1 tablespoon of almond butter, which is a healthy fat, and it gives steady energy. You want to do a half cup of fresh berries, which gives you the antioxidants and the natural sweetness, and then do a sprinkle of cinnamon, which helps to balance your blood sugar. You want to do a pinch of mineral-rich sea salt, which helps to support your adrenal function. Okay, and you can always add a scoop of collagen or plant-based protein if you like, which gives you that extra protein boost. And then you want to go ahead and drizzle a little of raw honey, just to add a little touch of sweetness. Okay, now basically the instructions of this: if you're using oats or quinoa, you want to cook them ahead or the night before for a quick prep. And then in a bowl, you want to layer the warm oats, the quinoa, with the yogurt. And you top it with the chia, the flax, the almond butter, the berries, and the cinnamon. And then you want to add a tiny pinch of sea salt and enjoy slowly with a warm herbal tea like chamomile. Yummy. Now, this works because protein plus the healthy fats prevent blood sugar crashes, which is a big adrenal stressor. The magnesium and the omega-3s from seeds calm the nervous system. And the cinnamon and the berries provide the antioxidants and the blood sugar support. And the sea salt helps to balance low blood pressure and cravings, which is often very common in adrenal fatigue. Okay, so if you want to go ahead and make sure and write that down, ladies, so that you can have that delicious recipe, you can also rewind this so that if you didn't catch anything, you can hear that back again. But I wanted to add that because I know a lot of times in the mornings, people struggle. And they're trying to figure out, what can I have? And you're already tired. You're already, feeling like, the weight of the world is on your back. And you need something that's going to be supportive and give you the balance that you need so that you don't become full-fledged adrenal insufficient or have Addison's disease. Prevention, for me, is key. Okay, ladies. So I think that we covered some nice things about adrenal fatigue. We I hope that I was clear to say what it is, the precursor before a possible full-fledged adrenal insufficiency or Addison's disease. It's definitely something that can be tested as far as your levels. And you want to make sure that you get the stress out of your life. We talked about that. We talked about the conditions that definitely are connected to this. We talked about if you go to the doctor, what to expect on the different testings that he or she may do, and some of the things that they may recommend. We talked about how to take back our plate, which is so important in every discussion that we talk about here at the Estrogen Chronicles, and we talked about the foods that we need to avoid. Okay? And I gave you some great things to get your morning started. So you always want to get started in the mornings on the best foot possible, because what that really does is set the tone for the rest of the day. Okay, ladies. So now, you know what I'm going to say. You need to share this podcast in order for me to keep giving you great tips of things that you may not even heard of. You may not even have heard of adrenal fatigue before. The precursor to possible full-fledged adrenal insufficiency. Or you didn't know what it include, what could happen with it, and what are the symptoms. My goal is always to teach you and to uncover things that you may have heard of or things that you may not have heard of, and how we can help to get it under control or maybe even completely eradicate it. But in order for me to do it, I need you. I need your help. I need you to share with friends and family. Post all over Facebook, post to your Instagram, share the podcast to everyone you can possibly think of, because that helps me to continually be here to help you. And if you need help with understanding adrenal fatigue and just the symptoms that we talked about, we talked last week about being depressed and having anxiety. And then this week we're kind of, going right into what that all can mean too, as far as being pretty much using out your adrenal gland to the point of fatigue. We want to get that under control. So there are foods that, as I mentioned, that you can have, that you can eat, that's going to help you to feel better in the mornings, that's going to help to give your adrenals a little rest, get you back into balance so that you feel good, that you can get up and you can be vibrant. And you need that assistance. You need that help to understand those things. And I can be a partner with you, and I would love to partner with you. So please go to www.nutritionudesign.com and you can actually book a consultation with me. You can book a 30-minute free session with me. We can sit down and talk about some of the things that you want to discover, some of the things that you want to do with your health, and especially at a time like this where so many people are under so much stress. And I don't think it's going to get better too much sooner, but we need to kind of get that taken care of as women, because as we see, a lot of the major conditions that we have also has a big link to stress. And I can help you with that, ladies. So go ahead, go to my website, book your consultation with me. Like I said, it's free and we can take it from there. So much great information. I tell you, have I talked too much? I don't know. Also, ladies, if you have any comments of anything that you want to see that maybe I haven't covered, be sure to drop me a comment. I would love to hear what you have to say. If there's something that you like for me to go over again, or something that you want a little bit more clarification on, I'm always free for the feedback on those things. And as you know, I always say, wellness is not just a focus, it is a lifestyle, because it is a lifestyle. I don't believe in so much diets. I believe in lifestyle nutrition, because diets is diets, right? You get on the low carb diet, you get on the this diet and that diet, right? It always changes all the time. But really, to be healthy and to really get your life under control, you want to do lifestyle nutrition. You want to be able to understand how to eat healthy, and then maybe sometime not so healthy, because I don't believe that you shouldn't have anything. Sometimes if you have a taste for a little something, it's okay. Everything in moderation. But when you learn how to do lifestyle nutrition, it doesn't become such a chore. And that's one of the things that I like teaching my clients. So, it is a lifestyle. It is not just a focus. It is a lifestyle. Okay, ladies, I have enjoyed my time with you today. I hope that you have enjoyed your time and have learned a little bit more about maybe a topic you don't hear much about, because they don't talk a lot about this particular topic. So I'm hoping that I've taught you something new today. Make sure if you didn't catch anything about the recipes, make sure and rewind and play it again. So this way you can make sure and try both the smoothie bowl and the breakfast bowl rather, and the juice. Okay, I hope you have a great rest of your Monday, ladies, and most importantly, enjoy the rest of your week. Please take stress out of your life. Help me to feel better, to know that each time you're listening, you understand the importance to this, and you start to slowly take it out of your life. Okay? With that being said, you have a fantastic rest of your day. And remember, health is your wealth. Your wealth. Until we talk again, have a great day. See you soon.